Ukrainian cities, attacking critical infrastructure, and President Putin is now turning winter into a war or a weapon of aggression against the Ukrainian people. And therefore we need to support Ukraine, and I'm extremely grateful for the strong support from the United States, military support, economic support, and everything you do to help the Ukrainians. And I'm absolutely confident that the message from the meeting here today and tomorrow will be that NATO allies will provide and continue to provide unprecedented support to Ukraine. We need to stand together because it is in our security interest to ensure that President Putin doesn't win, because that will send a message that authoritarian leaders can get away by using brutal military force. We will also address the challenges that China poses to NATO, to our interests, our security. And of course we will also meet with Foreign Minister Kuleba from Ukraine, but also the foreign ministers from our close partners, Moldova, Georgia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. So once again, welcome. It's great to see you here.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us together here in Bucharest. I agree with you. This meeting could not be more timely, and it couldn't be in a better place for the reasons that you said. NATO is stronger and more united than at any time I can remember, and I've been doing this for nearly 30 years. That's in no small measure thanks to the leadership of the Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, who's been remarkable in making sure that our alliance stays together, united in purpose, united in action. We will be reaffirming our support for Ukraine as we go forward. We will be reaffirming our support and the work that we're doing to strengthen our own alliance, work that was critically important at the Madrid summit and that will now be carrying over to Vilnius next year. We'll have two soon-to-be new members of the alliance, Sweden and Finland, with us for these meetings today. That's important as well. But the fundamental principle that we have and that we brought to the Russian aggression against Ukraine, that we bring to other challenges, including challenges that China poses to our interests, is that we are doing it together, we're doing it united. That is NATO's greatest strength. It's a strength that the Secretary General has helped to nurture, and it's a strength that we're going to see on display here over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What do you think about the energy attacks?
More to come. More to come.
Good afternoon.
Together with our to-be allies, Finland and Sweden, we will discuss how to expand our practical support to Ukraine, to make it long-term, sustainable, and adequately funded. Later at our second session, we will hear from Minister Dmytro Kuleba about the latest development on the ground, and we will also hear about Ukraine's priorities and needs. It's good that the High Representative Josep Borrell will also be present, and namely the coordination of efforts between the EU and NATO is crucial. Croatia support and will continue to support Ukraine politically, financially, militarily as long as necessary. We will say it today, as we have said it in October in Zagreb, where we held the first parliamentary summit of International Crimea Platform. Thank you very much.
Great. How can you help Ukraine with its critical infrastructure?
Hello, very good to see you. A group of Baltic and Nordic ministers just came back from Kiev, actually directly from Kiev to Bucharest. In Kiev we had a chance not only to meet all the representatives of Ukrainian government, Mr. Kuleba, President, Prime Minister, and talk with them about all the issues that they're currently facing, but also to inspect the damage that is being done on a daily basis to their energy infrastructure. We visited some of the power plants in Kiev and saw how much they are affected by the drone attacks. So there is no doubt that today one of the questions that will be raised is how can we make sure that Ukrainian people, civilians especially, do not suffer the terror attacks that are being thrown at them almost every day, and how do they survive winter?
Because it was clear that winter is coming. Some of your colleagues were surprised that Russia is targeting the energy infrastructure.
Well, honestly, we are not surprised. This is probably what I'm repeating almost every time we meet. It is clear that Russia will use terror tactics. Now they're targeting energy infrastructure, civilian objects. So the only goal, I would say there are two goals. First of all, we need to sustain the situation as it currently is. That means that Ukrainians need to have a chance to protect the most important civilian infrastructure that they have. So they need air defense, missile defense, everything that we have needs to be shipped right away. Secondly, we need to support rebuilding of infrastructure, because it cannot just be left without it, because now they have a deficit from 20 to 30% almost every day. It means that 30% of people or 30% of time they lack electricity. If it goes up, it is possible that critical infrastructure will start to be disconnected from the grid. But lastly, what we need not to forget is that Ukraine needs to win this war. If they win the war, or more realistically, when they win the war, this is when the country can be safe, and this is where we actually can sustain the rebuilding. That means that the infrastructure that is being rebuilt, it will be safe.
Are you afraid that NATO is running out of weapons?
Has Ukraine made any specific request in terms of aid that you want to pass along to the other ministers?
When it comes to energy infrastructure, yes, this is a specific transformation stations that honestly only countries in the eastern flank have. Therefore, Lithuania donated the first one because we are changing ours and we have something that is left, and we're able to give it to Ukraine. Their appeal was to talk to all those in the eastern flank that they would do the same thing. Second thing is very, very simple. They need heavy weapons. In order to push Russians out, they need heavy weapons, and on the top of their list is tanks. And if I were to sum up my message today to the ministers, it would be just one word.
2008 there was this declaration. Where do you stand today?
We had a discussion about this with the representatives in Kiev. They are very seriously preparing for Vilnius summit. I think that this is where they have expectations that a format for continuation of political dialogue between NATO and Ukraine will be set. Obviously, their expectation is full membership. And I have to admit that as it stands now, Lithuania supports Ukraine.
NATO is running low on stockpile when it comes to weapons.
Well, interestingly enough, NATO is not running low on tanks, neither on tank ammunition. So therefore, if we expand the inventory of what is being sent to Ukraine, then NATO has a chance to keep supplying. Maybe there are some difficulties to supply specific ammunition that has already been sent. It is possible. I cannot give you specific numbers. But when it comes to tanks, NATO countries basically have almost unlimited amount of ammunition for main battle tanks in NATO side.
The oil price cap, it seems that $62 is still too high for Lithuania. How low does the price level need to go until the EU reaches a deal?
First of all, it's still a theoretical price cap because the price has been falling. So, this is, we're talking about a ceiling that currently the price is not even reaching. So I think that we will continue our discussion. I think that there's no pressure on us to set the price as it is now, because, as I mentioned, the price is still lower. But from our perspective is that if we take into account that the price that Russia is paying for extracting oil is about $20. So the margin we are ready to pay to Russia is still incredibly high. And that has to be taken into account. And this is the main debate that is going on in Lithuania. We have to explain to our people that we're willing to leave $42 to Russians per every barrel that we purchase.
Deal at the EU level over this?
I think that it's a very constructive conversation going on in the EU, and as you probably know, that Lithuania is definitely not the only country that it has some doubts, and I'm sure that the outcome will be favorable, but not to Russians.
Hungary is one of the two countries that is blocking membership of Sweden and Finland
Hungary.
until now.
Well, honestly, we heard comments made by the government and by the Prime Minister that they are getting ready to ratify in the Parliament. I'm still think that words are worth something, and it will happen. Sorry, I have to let my colleagues pass through. All the best.
So I just came from Kiev, together with my Nordic, Baltic